So what is up, guys? So welcome to this video. As shown from the title here, I'm going to be covering how to be more attractive as an Asian guy. And the way this video is going to be raw, and I'm just going to be reading through the docs that I've written here for you guys. So without further ado, let's get this video started. And the first thing I want to be very clear is the fact that this is not about pickup lines, tricks, or pretending to be someone you're not. This is about genuinely being attractive by rebuilding your identity, your body, and your self-image from the ground up. And here's just a quick example of me, like my glow up, I guess. And as you can see on the left, I was a very skinny, nerdy kid. And on the middle here, that's how I look, I guess, now. As you can see, a bit more good looking. And the third picture is about 6 months ago when I did my first bodybuilding competition. And I just put it there just to show my body and kind of flex. And I think I'm quite good at this topic because I was very skinny and nerdy as a kid. And now I've been able to date beautiful girls from all over the world, build a lean, athletic physique, and run my business online. So I'm going to give you guys all the gems I can hear in this video. So let's move on to the overview of this lesson. So the first thing we're going to cover is what this guide is about and what it isn't. Second thing we're going to cover is identity overhaul and overcoming limiting beliefs, followed by physical and social transformation. And the fifth thing we're going to cover is relapse warnings, so going back to old patterns. And the sixth thing we're going to cover is action items for the next 90 days and finishing off with a final review of this document or video. So without further ado, let's dive into our first section. So the first section is what this guide is about and what it isn't. Before we go any further, I need to make something absolutely clear. And if this triggers you, that's fine. This video probably isn't for you. This isn't about hating on women. This isn't about blaming your race. This isn't about copying Western beauty standards blindly. This is about taking full responsibility for what you can actually control. And everything I'm going to present here is going to be about natural transformation to become more attractive. So you don't have to rely on drugs or surgery to see results. And everything I'm going to present here is about natural transformation to become more attractive. So you don't have to rely on drugs or surgeries to see real results. Now, here's something that most people don't want to hear, which is that attraction is subjective. A girl can find you attractive and a friend can find you completely unattractive. That's just reality, and that kind of works with guys as well. Like, you can find a girl very attractive and your friend can find her not attractive at all. So it's the same thing. So your goal shouldn't be that you want to be attractive to every single girl in this world. That's impossible. Your goal should be to be attractive to as many girls as possible, or more specifically, attractive to the type of girls you actually want to meet, date, and build something with. If you can accept that, let's continue. Moving on to section 2, which is identity overhaul and overcoming limiting beliefs. Let's get into the real work. And before we transfer physically, we want to look at our programming first and see how we can change this. If you're an Asian guy who grew up in the West or even in Asia, you probably observe some of the same stereotypes your entire life without even realizing it. And here's some common stereotypes of Asian men: smart, good at maths, shy, quiet, and not confident, not attractive or not masculine, and not athletic at all. And also submissive, not sexually but socially. Like, for example, someone insults you and you don't say anything back. And here's the thing that you really need to understand. You didn't choose these beliefs, they were programmed into you. And here's what I mean. So for decades, Western media portrayed Asian men as shy characters, no muscles, no confidence, no presence, and usually the joke. They always seem to be the tech guy or the nerd in the background, and normally this character just comes to the story, has an embarrassing moment, and that's it, the side character profile. And yes, things have changed recently with movies like Shang-Chi and other recent projects, but decades of conditioning doesn't disappear overnight, because you have to understand this has been programmed on how other races see Asian men and how Asian men see themselves. Let me give you a real life example. Last year I was in Bali for about 6 months, and during that time I met a lot of Eastern European guys, especially Russians and Ukrainians, at the gym and events. Many of them was genuinely surprised that I was lean, social, spoke good English, and was teaching fit girls calisthenics for content in the gym. And the fact that I was Asian, that's why they were very surprised. And they weren't disrespectful, but surprised. Because in their heads, they only ever seen one version of an Asian man. And when you also grow up constantly seeing that version in movies, TV shows, and media, it affects you too. But here's how the cycle actually works. First, at a young age, people treat you differently than other races because you're Asian. Then you as a kid or even as an adult start internalizing this treatment. Self-esteem drops, standards drops, and you start assimilating the version of yourself that the society tells you to be. this becomes a habit, and it doesn't change as an adult unless you become aware of what's actually being programmed into you. And this has led to two common complaints you see online within the Asian dating market. Asian men are the least preferred group to date. Asian women don't even want to date Asian men. There's a lot of studies and reports about this, but obsessing over them keeps you stuck in that victim mentality. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to admit. You're not a statistic. You're an individual. Like, you can actually choose to accept it or not. And personally, I prefer that you don't accept these beliefs. Like, you can be attractive and you are going to be attractive. That's the mentality that you need. Moving on to the mental break that you need to make. So the first thing you need to say, and I really mean that you say this, not just think about it, is that say, fuck that. That doesn't determine who I am. A stereotype is a stereotype. It doesn't have to be you. Like, let me give you an example, right? Think about your parents for a second. Most of our parents grew up in villages, walking long distance to school, collecting water, and living a completely different lives than they do now. Now they live in cities, they work assured jobs, they raise you in a better environment than they had. And that reason they got there is the fact that they broke the stereotype. They could have easily just settled for their old life, but they decided to do something and take action. This example is very personal to me because my mom and dad grew up in villages in Nepal, one of the poorest countries in the world, yet they have built a small empire of their own in both Nepal and the UK, whilst raising me separately as they got divorced when I was 10. And also they helped their families back home to live a better life too. And to do this, at one point they had to say, fuck that. That doesn't determine who I am to get to where they are now. You can do the same with attraction. So don't believe the statistics. And the second thing, and this is very important, is to improve your self-image. Now that you're not going to accept stereotypes, let's talk about the foundation. Before you touch gym, before you fix your diet, before you buy the new clothes, you need to fix your self-image. This just means how you view yourself. Not your mom, not your friends, not your Instagram followers. This is just how you view yourself. Do you view yourself as unattractive? Do you view yourself as uncharismatic? Do you view yourself as not confident? Then guess what? You feel and act accordingly, and that will create results in the outer world that reflects the image that you have in your mind. For example, let's say you start changing your body and your face. You look good in the mirror, but if your self-image still sees you as unattractive or not confident, then you end up back to where you started. Your self-image is the autopilot on the airplane. And here's a real-life example of what I mean. An airplane has a cybernetic system that helps with directions to go to its desired destination. Before an airplane takes off, the pilot programs a flight pattern into the plane's computer system. The plane goes off course during the flight at any time. The cybernetic system measures the deviation from the destination, the set goal, and then corrects the flight pattern. For example, let's say a plane is going to New York to London, but it goes off course to Paris. The cybernetic system will correct its routes and take the flight back to London. Well, you have the same kind of cybernetic or self-correcting mechanism inside of you. That's the self-image. This is why you see people who lose weight, then go back to the same pattern in a couple of months. This is why you see athletes who grew up poor, they make millions, but shortly after retirement, they are bankrupt. Self-image is everything. It will program your subconscious mind more than your conscious action ever will. And I'm going to give you a personal example of myself. So in this picture here, this very cute picture of myself, I was around 17 years old. I was smart, athletic, and decently attractive. I would get called handsome and cute by girls sometimes, or once in a month, let's just say, but I never believed it. My self-image would always make me second guess other people's compliments and always think of myself as that nerdy, unattractive kid that I believed I was growing up. Even though I started getting attention from girls at the time, because that's when I started going to the gym and started building some muscle, my self-image affected how I viewed myself. Despite the attention I was getting, internally, I didn't believe that I was attractive. I would ruin any potential relationships because I didn't believe I was good enough. And the funny thing was, the girls would think in that way. They would think they were not good enough, but I would not think I was good enough. And that's the reason I thought I ruined a lot of relationships as a teenager or a young adult. Because in my mind, I still look like this kid here. Right, so even though I looked like this, I guess I looked better, I still looked in my mind, very nerdy and not good looking at all. And fast forward 4 years later, here in this picture. So in this picture here, I was 21 years old. And this is the time I learned about self-image after breaking with my ex of almost 3 years. I was depressed and sad for a few weeks, like most guys are and like most girls are. And like most guys during that post-breakup phase, I started doing new things. For me, it was reading mindset books. And I learned about self-image through the book Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And it was a game changer because by this point in this picture and still now, I see myself as an attractive and a charismatic guy. Not perfect, but confident and someone who's able to attract beautiful girls. This changed how I moved, how I spoke, and how I showed up in every situation. And in this picture here, I pretty much dated and had fun with every race and every body type I could imagine. And before this, I thought only Asian girls liked me, but I found that every race likes me because I didn't put myself in a box. And my self-image told me that I could attract girls that are not just Asians. And of course, other things like my age, maturity, money, and body helped, but none of them helped as much as how I saw myself. I never once led with money or even my body. Because I saw myself as attractive and charismatic, it made me be myself around girls much more and not act like someone I'm not. I'm not like fronting or anything. And this made attracting them easier. And sure, I got rejected a few times. Actually, let me not lie. I got rejected a lot of times. And I still do now, by the way. But remember at the start of this video, I told you not every girl is going to find you attractive. And that's okay. It's the same the other way around. You may find a girl who is a 10 out of 10, but your friend might just say she's a 6 out of 10. That's just, it's a very subjective matter, right? And remember, we're trying to be attracted to the girls we actually want to date. And also, quick notes here. This is just a brief overview of self-image. I could do a whole specific video on this if you guys want me to, just comment down below. But I do recommend that you read Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, which dives into self-image and how it affects our actions subconsciously in every part of our life. It has changed my life in so many ways, like even doing this kind of video, like me talking about attraction and all these things. I would have never done this like 5 or 6 years ago, but it has helped me so much and I want to obviously help you guys as well for free. So please do read this book. It will really change your life. Let's move to section 3, which is physical transformation or looks maxing as they call it now. And whether we like it or not, fitness and looks is one of the most important ways on how the world perceives us or views us. You make a quick decision on how someone is from just looking at them within a second or two. And also I'll do a full deep dive video on looks maxing soon. But for now, in this video, we're going to keep it simple and actionable. So the biggest game changer for me was changing my body composition. So when I was like 10, 11, I was chubby as a kid. Then as puberty hit, I got skinny as shown in the picture on the left here. Then I wanted to build some muscle. Then like most guys going into that bulky phase, and I became bulky for a few years as shown in this picture in the middle here. I didn't really like it that much, and I went through that bulk cut phase. But for the past 5 years, I've been lean pretty much all year round. And like I said before, I started working out seriously around 16 to 17 years old. And like most guys, I thought bigger means better. I thought more mass I had or the more muscle I had, the more attractive I would be. How wrong I was. Unless your goal is to be a powerlifter, a strongman, or the big guy in your friendship group, or you need to be big for a sport like rugby or American football, this isn't the most optimal type for attraction. The most optimal body type for attraction is actually building lean muscle and staying around 10 to 12% body fat. At this level, you get a lot of benefits. The first thing is that you have an aesthetic body. You look good with your shirt on and off, proportional, balanced, and not too bulky or not too skinny. Second thing is your facial feature comes out. Your jawline sharpens, your cheekbones become more defined, and the fat in your face drops, and suddenly your face looks more masculine and sculpted. Let me just show you an example. So as you can see in this picture here, when I was a bit bulky, as you can see my face looks chubby, right? It looks chubby. It doesn't look like I have much facial features there. But when I'm here, when I'm leaner, even though I'm smiling and it's a different pose, you can see the jawline kind of coming out. And don't worry, we're going to talk more about the face later and how your body fat affects it later in the video. And third thing, and this is very underrated, is that almost every piece of clothing fits you perfectly. You don't need to wear oversized clothes to hide your body. You don't need to have tight clothes to show off. Everything kind of just fits naturally. T-shirts, stretch shirts, jackets, they all just look better because you're leaner and everything just fits really good. And the last thing, and just as important, is the fact that how people respond to you changes. You walk into a room, people notice, not in an intimidating way, but in a way that this guy actually takes care of himself. And trust me, women notice and men respect it because it signals discipline, self-control, and standards. To further prove my point that lean and athletic is the most attractive body type, I've asked girls all over the world this question: what body type do you find the most attractive? And the most common answer is always the same, which is lean and athletic. As shown in the picture of Rob, over 50% of women prefer this body type. We have athletic at 55%, always on a bulk at 30%, and the other three body types only 5% each. And I've asked this question to white girls, Asian girls, black girls, Latino girls, Middle Eastern girls, and they all kind of say the same answer. And the reason is the fact that staying lean all year round is much harder than getting big. Getting big just requires you to eat more and lift heavy. Staying lean requires discipline, consistency, and control. That's why most people can't do it, and that's the reason it exactly stands out, not just to girls, but to men as well. And here's how to build a lean, athletic physique. This is the exact process that I actually help my clients with. So if you want one-to-one coaching online, check the description down below to book a free call to see if you're a good fit. But simply, all you need to do is these 5 things. So the first thing you need to do is lift or do resistance training like calisthenics 3 to 4 times a week. You don't need to live in the gym. 3 to 4 sessions per week is good enough. And focus 80% of the time on compound movements like the squats, deadlift, bench press, and the pull-ups. These build the most muscles in the least amount of time. And 20% of the time do isolation movements like bicep curls, lateral raises, and tricep extension. This is more for the mind-muscle connection, which also ultimately helps you grow bigger. And make sure you train each muscle group twice a week for constant stimulation. Now the second thing is to make sure that you train harder than last time each week, i.e. progressive overload. This is the key to building muscle. You need to progressively challenge your body, like adding more weights, do more reps, and increasing the volume. If you're doing the same weight for the same reps every week, you're just maintaining, not building. I even argue you're going to lose muscle because you're not even challenging your body. So try and make it difficult each week. And the third thing is eat 2 grams of protein per kilo of your body weight or 1 gram per pound. Protein builds and repairs muscle. So for example, if you weigh 70 kilos, you need 140 grams of protein per day. And try to hit this number every single day. So eat food like chicken, eggs, fish, lean beef, Greek yogurt, protein shakes, as these are all high in protein and help you get that number. Now the fourth thing is to sleep 7 to 8 hours daily. Sleep is where your body recovers and grows. If you train hard but only sleep 5 hours, you're leaving gains in the table and you're not going to be building muscle that much. So prioritize sleep like you're prioritizing training. Sleep doesn't just help with muscle, but just helps you recover mentally, emotionally, just in all ways. So make sure you sleep at least 7 to 8 hours. This is very important, guys. Now the fifth thing is to eat at a slight calorie surplus if you're skinny and eat at a slight calorie deficit if you're overweight. If you're skinny, add 300 to 500 calories above your maintenance to build muscle slowly without getting fat. If you're overweight, eat 300 to 500 calories below your maintenance to lose fat whilst preserving muscle. Track your weight weekly and adjust accordingly. There are other things to building a lean athletic body. But if you use these 5 principles consistently for the next 6 to 12 months, trust me, you will be unrecognizable. If you want a full breakdown of how to build muscle and how to lose weight and how to build this, how to build that in terms of like body parts, please check my channel. I have tons of videos that will help you build muscle and lose fat efficiently. Now moving on to the second chapter of this section, which is diet. I just touched upon diet for building muscle, but let me be clear, you can't out-train a bad diet, period. Diet isn't just important for building muscle, it's important for your energy, your mood, your focus, and pretty much everything else. Imagine how you feel 30 minutes after eating a Big Mac versus 30 minutes after eating a home-cooked meal that you cooked or your mom cooked. One leaves you sluggish, bloated, and foggy. The other leaves you energized and ready to perform. And this doesn't mean eating salads all day or some boring, tasteless food. 80% of your diet should be homemade, low-processed, and high-protein food. And 20% of your diet, have some fun, whatever you want, right? Like a good balance. And if you think healthy food can't taste good, you're living under a rock. This is the 21st century. There are millions of videos online showing you how to make food healthy. There are cafes that are specifically designed for healthy food. And there's even like videos on how to make your cheat meals lower in calories. So there's no excuse not to eat healthy. And if you have the budget, like order a meal prep service weekly. This will save you time and you'll actually eat food that actually tastes good without having to cook it. And I've been doing this for the past year and it's been a game changer in terms of like saving my time and just eating food that someone cooks and is actually quite good at cooking and it's actually tasty. And even though I think I'm an okay cook, sometimes I can get very lazy and make very bad food. So just having a meal prep service just helps. Having a meal prep service gives your mind a break and gives you a lot of time back. And with your diet, the goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. Like most days, you have to eat right, but some days you may not, and you may just binge, and that's okay. Just don't let one bad meal or one bad cheat day turn into a bad week, bad month, and you go back to the same habit. So what we want is consistency over perfection. And personally, I believe the two most important things that you should track are protein and calories. Calories because they determine whether you gain or lose weight. Protein because it determines whether you build muscle or lose muscle. Everything else like carbs, fats, and meal timing is important, but is secondary. Get those two right, which is calories and protein, and make sure you track them, and you're 90% of the way there. Moving on to the third chapter, which is how to improve your face without no obsession. And let's be honest, your face is the first thing that people see and start making judgment from. And you may not be able to change your face dramatically or drastically like your body, but you can definitely improve your facial aesthetics. And like I talked about, the biggest change to your face will be your body fat percentage. And the sweet spot is around 10 to 12% body fat, which will lean out your face and get your jawline to pop. And here's a quick example. So as you can see, that's me on the left on 20%, 22% body fat. And you can see my face is chubby, right? You don't really see a lot of facial features. Moving on to 12% in the middle here, you can see my jawline really just popping out, and my facial features looks much better, right? Much better. And the picture on the left, I was around 10% body fat, and you can see my cheeks are coming out, my jawline's popping, and it just looks more aesthetic than at 20%. To simply put it, at 20%, I look cute. like a cute guy, and at 10% body fat or 12% body fat, I would say handsome, look good, right? I'm not trying to suck myself up, but I look much better, right? And that's how I'm trying to get to you guys, because if you're at 20% body fat, your face may look a bit chubby like this, but once you get to around that sweet spot around 12 to 10% body fat, trust me, your facial features will really just change and make you look different. And here's other things that will help your facial aesthetics. Now, the first thing is to sleep around 7 to 8 hours. We just talked about it on building muscle, but also it helps how your face looks. And this is not negotiable. Like if you don't sleep enough, your face will show it. Like you're gonna have dark circles, puffy eyes, dull skin. And even if you use a lot of skincare products, I argue that sleep is the best skincare product that you can use, and it's completely free. Now the second thing is to reduce sodium and processed food. High sodium food, which just means high salt, like rice and fried chicken with salt, sauce, and everything. Make sure you retain water, especially in your face. You wake up looking bloated and puffy, so cut down on processed food and sodium. Your face will lean out naturally. This is especially very important if you're Asian, as us Asians, unluckily, we retain a lot of water in our face and salt as well. So even if you're skinny, you may have a chubby face, and the reason may be the fact that you have a high sodium and high processed food diet. So we're gonna change that, right? And it's good for your health not eating too much of this food, which are junk anyway. So don't eat it. It's gonna help your face and it's gonna help your health. Now the third thing is to wear sunscreen daily. I don't care if you think this is unnecessary, but sun damages your skin a lot faster than anything else. Wrinkles, dark spots, and even uneven skin tone, which I kind of have to be fair, they're all preventable with sunscreen, especially with SPF 30 or higher that you need to wear. Now the third thing, now the third thing is to wear sunscreen daily. I don't care now the third thing is to wear sunscreen daily. I don't care if you think it's unnecessary, but sun damages your skin and ages your skin faster than anything else. Wrinkles, dark spots, and uneven skin tone are all preventable with sunscreen. So wear SPF 30 or 50 and higher, even daily actually. So wear sunscreen with SPF 30 or higher daily, even when it's cloudy. It's gonna help your skin a lot. And the fourth thing you can do is moving, which is your proper tongue posture. And it's very simple to do, guys. I feel like a lot of people make it complicated in the internet, but all you do is just put your tongue in the roof of your mouth, right? So you have a tongue here, all right? Just put the pressure there, like so. So I'm mewing. I'm not mewing. Mewing. Not mewing. So that's all you need to do, right? Just put your tongue on the top of the top of your mouth, and that's how simple it is to mirroring. I feel like people just overcomplicate than it should be. By doing this, engage your jaw and can improve your facial structure over time. It's subtle but works if you're consistent. Now the fifth thing you can do is train your jaw. Now the fifth thing you can do is train your jaw and your neck, like chewing hard gum, doing neck curls, because your face and your neck has muscles just like the rest of your body. So if you train them, it will also help with your facial structure. Like a strong jaw and a thick neck makes you look more masculine and more capable. I actually have a video about this that you can do, and you can just watch some videos on how to do this. It's very simple on the internet. I just don't want to like break it down too much because it's gonna make this video way too long. But yeah, so definitely train your jaw and your neck. And the last thing, and I hope you did this already, which is the fact that you should brush your teeth. I mean, this is obvious, but I'll say it anyway, which is to brush your teeth twice a day, flush, and use a mouthwash. White teeth and fresh breath are non-negotiables. If your teeth are stained or your breath smells, nothing else really matters. Like, you can be the best looking guy in the world, but if someone's talking to you and your breath smells, you don't want to talk to them, and your attraction will drop very quickly. So make sure you brush your teeth and you have, good breath as well. And just to summarize the points, is the fact that your face has muscles. You can train them like the rest of your body through mewing, chewing, and neck curls. And these things all add up over time to make your facial features look better and more handsome. And here's a warning, and I really mean it, which is not to obsess over your looks. Like, don't fall down a rabbit hole of extreme look maxing forums where the guys are measuring the angle of their eyes, obsessing over the smallest millimeters of their bone structure. That's a black hole that's going to lead to insecurities and mental breakdowns and no results. And this is going to lead to you doing things like surgeries, taking drugs to just make your face and your body look better. And the problem with this is that it's going to impact your self-image even more. So even if you do all the right things, you are obsessing over like really small things, you're going to think of yourself as ugly. And like we talk about, if your self-image isn't like good, or like it keeps on telling you that you're ugly, then you're gonna go back to that level even if you improve like everything in your life. So just don't obsess over them, right? The goal is to look sharp, healthy, and well put together. Like, we don't want to look like this photoshopped people that doesn't exist, and just with all this Botox and stuff. I'm not a fan of it, and I hope you don't do that as well. So just do the basics and stay consistent. So moving on to the fourth chapter, which is clothing. So personally, I'm not the biggest fashion guy in the world. So if you really want to upgrade your wardrobe, listen to actual fashion creators or search up online, because my style is very simple and minimal, and it's actually something that I'm actually trying to improve on. And the thing I actually found, that if your body is lean and muscular, like we talked about before, having a lean and muscular body means that you don't need complicated outfits. Almost anything will look good on you. You need to do less work and don't have to pay as much attention to trends or expensive pieces. And this picture here is just my kind of like usual style. Very simple, not a lot of clothing, and very minimalistic. I don't wear a lot, and it doesn't really show off a lot, because I found that fit beats trends every single time. Well-fitted basics will beat trendy oversized garbage. A plain white t-shirt that fits your body perfectly will look much better than a $200 piece designer that's too baggy or that's too tight. And tailor if you need to. This suit is actually just tailored that I got in Nepal, and goddamn, in terms of like compliments I get every time I wear this suit is crazy, and it's because I tailored it. Even spending like $20 to tailor a $30 shirt is worth it if it makes you look sharp, So tailor if you can and if you need to, but you don't have to tailor everything else. It's just like formal clothes, especially look really good, and you are going to get a lot of compliments. And two things I really recommend that you have in your style is have a necklace and a watch or a bracelet that matches the necklace. It gives your outfit more texture, and make it simple if you can, or you can go flashy like a rapper if you want to, like if that's your look. But personally, simple silver or gold chains work, and that's not too flashy. It's just small details, but it makes a big difference. So like here on this picture, this necklace, which I have it back in London. I didn't want to carry it here in Bangkok, but yeah, man, like it's very simple, but it looks really nice. It looks beautiful, I think. Very beautiful. But yeah, That's it for physical transformation. Now let's move on to the social transformation. So looks, money, status help a lot with attraction, but social skills close the deal. Think of it like this: looks, money, status start the conversation. Like the girl may notice you, or it may be easy to talk to her. But presence and communication decides the outcome. So whether you guys go on a date, whether you guys go a little jiggy jiggy, or you guys become a girlfriend or a boyfriend kind of thing, communications decides the outcome. So it's basically like marketing and sales. So marketing is, I guess, your looks, your money and status, and sales is your communication. You can be the best looking guy in the world, but if you're awkward, low energy or boring, it does not matter. Conversely, you can be an average looking guy but be magnetic and people will gravitate towards you. So personally, I'm a decent looking guy, and I have friends who don't really care too much about their looks as much I do, or even fitness and stuff. But they're very, very, actually one of my friends, he's very, very good at like talking, and he's like 5'5" or something. And he always seems to pull. Like he always seems to pull all the time, and it's because of how good he's with like talking, and like if you ever talk to him, like this guy is one of the most charismatic guy I know, and I think I'm quite charismatic, but him is just like he really gets you talking and really makes you feel good about yourself. And every time I like see him in a bar, I feel like I always see him pull. So yeah, so you don't have to always be the best looking guy. Attraction is just more. It's more than just like looks, money, and status. It's communications is very important, because we are a social creature at the end of the day. Now you may be wondering, who the hell is this bald white guy? Like, he doesn't look that good. He just looks kind of like Andrew Tate, but like a B-Tech version of Andrew Tate. Let me not say that. But if you don't know, this guy is one of the most popular pickup artists ever. He's dated models and has actually helped Hollywood celebrities with communication and dating advice. And his name is Neil Strauss. Sorry if I said that wrong. And he's most famous for writing the New York bestseller, The Game, a book about seduction. And here's the funny thing, right? Like, you probably think this guy does not look like a pickup artist. Like, no way would this bald guy be a pickup artist, or like would someone like have like good dating advice. You probably think, when you expect someone to be like a guru or something in terms of dating, you probably expect someone to look like Cristiano Ronaldo or something. But it just shows you how much communication affects attraction. Communication is not just important in attraction, but it's almost everything, because everything in life is relationship, whether it's business, relationships with your mom, your friends, everything, right? Everything is communication, because we can't just like do sign language. We've got to talk to each other, if you're building something. So communication is very important, and we're going to dive into it here, and how to improve your communication. So there are different ways to meet like new girls and people, but I'm going to make it very simple and break it down into just 2 different approaches, where you can meet girls or meet new friends if you want to. This doesn't just have to be attraction, by the way. This can just be like meeting new friends. So that's all I want you guys to think. Attraction isn't just about girls, even though it kind of is. It's also like attracting like new friends, new friendship groups and everything like that. So the first thing we're going to talk about is warm approaches. So warm approaches just means that you put yourself in environments where interaction is natural, like classes, events, hobbies that you actually enjoy, like a dance class, like sports leagues, like playing 7-a-side football, or like pick up basketball, like language exchanges. You're trying to learn a new language, and you go to like a community community or something, or like a place where you guys like learn languages together, cooking classes and martial arts. For example, Muay Thai, what I'm doing right now. So when you're in these spaces, you're not there trying to meet girls. You're actually doing something that you actually like. And girls become a byproduct of that. And this is one of the best and the most sustainable way to meet people. There's no pressure, there's no weird energy, just genuine human interaction. Because you guys are there to learn a skill, learn something, and do something together. And meeting kind of becomes the natural process of that. And the best part is the fact that you and that person that you meet share a common interest. So it's much easier to talk and potentially date in the future because you already built in this conversation topics and the reasons to hang out together. Maybe you guys can do the same hobby together. Like if you both like, I don't know, like basketball. If any girls do like basketball, you guys can play basketball together or like play pickup game together, and that kind of builds connection. You guys get to learn more about each other, and that becomes a natural process. So I'll actually give you a very real life example. So one of my close friends, he became single about 6 to 8 months ago, and he started taking salsa again. Like he used to do salsa before, but he stopped because of work and relationship and stuff. But he started taking salsa again to meet more new people. And actually, he went to a different place. So he moved from London to Edinburgh. So he started taking salsa more and more. And he started enjoying salsa again, like genuinely started enjoying salsa to the fact that he's really good at salsa, like really, really good at it. And recently he started dating a beautiful girl that he met there because it became a natural process because, he would see the same girls there and the guys just talk, hang out, after the class for a few minutes. It's just a natural process, and that naturally led to dates and to what they are now. I think they're official. I don't know if they're official or unofficial, but they're together, right? And that just happened because he just started in salsa again, and that natural process just happened, right? And he wasn't there to meet like girls specifically. He was just there to meet new people because new environment, and just broken up a few months ago. So kind of just worked out for him. And hey, you don't need no pickup lines. There's no forced approaches. He's just being himself or yourself in an environment where connection happens naturally. So that's a very good way to kind of meet like girls and just increase your communication skills. And like I said before, right? You don't want to go to these places because you want to meet girls, right? It should be something that you actually enjoy, right? Like if you enjoy like Muay Thai or boxing, just go to the class and don't expect too much about like meeting your new wife or your girlfriend. You just go there, do your class, talk to people, talk about you guys have a spa, blah blah blah, and things will just lead naturally where you don't even have to think. It just happens naturally. We're talking to people, and if there's a girl, you guys kind of do your thing after, right? So just the general concept I'm trying to say is that make this approaches like not what I'm trying to say is like this approach shouldn't be you go there so you can meet like new girls. It should be you're doing to do your hobby or learning a new skill, and girls become a byproduct of that, right? Now, second thing is cold approaches, and this is like directly approaching strangers, right? So cold approaching is just approaching strangers, especially girls, in public, and you guys don't have any like interaction. Like she's not a friend of a friend, or she's like your cousin's best friend or something, right? It's just a random girl that you've never met, and you just saw and you just approach her. Now, this is one of the hardest skills you learn as a man, but if you can master it, it will help you in many aspects of life. And the reason is very simple. You're doing 3 things that people find hard, like of all ages, right? Of all ages. Number 1 is starting a conversation with strangers. Number 2 is talking to girls that you don't know. That's one of like guys' biggest fears. Number 3 is getting rejected, right? No one likes getting rejected, but if you can like get used to it, like that's a superpower, guys. That's a huge superpower. So personally, I think you should learn cold approaching, even if your goal isn't attraction, because the confidence you build from cold approaching bleeds into everything else. And personally, I've cold approached over 100 women across 10 countries, and the answer is probably closer to like 500 than it is to 100, right? Just because I'm a very extroverted guy, and I do just like talking to people. And when I cold approach girls, it's not just to like to date. It just because she looks really pretty or she looks interesting. Let me just strike a quick 5-minute conversation. And if you don't believe me, I've even made a video of me like live cold approaching on YouTube and on Instagram, showing my success and failure. So this this was a success. I actually posted this on Instagram. It got over 1 million views, 1.2 million views, and just like a Russian girl I met briefly. Nothing happened, but it just me like a proof of me approaching girls. And if you want to go watch the video, just type in that title and you can go find it, or you can find it on my Instagram. And the process is very simple on how to do this. I think people overcomplicate cold approaching than it should be. And I'm going to divide this into two ways, right? Is first how to start a conversation and how to keep the conversation going. So how to start a conversation, just say hi or hello. That's it. Like just open the mouth and say hi, hello. Most guys never get past this step because they overthink it, and mention something that you notice about her or the situation. Like for example, is she wearing an interesting necklace or a dress or tattoos or earrings? Just comment on it, because this is gonna get her to talk about herself, which makes the conversation flow naturally, because people love talking about the things that they care about. Let me just use an example, right? So here, what did I notice about her, right? So I noticed that she has a very a nice necklace, silver necklace. So if I were to do this again, at the time I didn't because I was a bit nervous because it was the first time in camera, right? Like I cold approach girls, but I never really put in the camera until like that day because of the video I wanted to do. So I was overthinking a little bit at the time. But if I had to do this again, I would have just commented saying, hey, I think your necklace is really cute. Where did you get it from? Or like, wow, like who gave you that necklace? Something to just open up the conversation, How to keep the conversation going. So once you get her talking, you can start talking about normal things like how's the day? What does she do? Where's she from? If she has an interest in acting or look, you can ask her about her ethnicity or background. People usually like talking about their culture and their country because, that's one of their identity. Just have a normal conversation, like just normal conversation. Like don't think too much of it, right? Like don't think, oh my God, I gotta get this girl's number and, she's gotta find me attractive. No, guys, just talk how you normally talk, right? So just detach from the outcome. So don't go in expecting her a number or a date. Just go in, have a conversation. Because the moment you need something from her, she's gonna feel it because it's energy, right? Like she can feel the desperate energy, and it's gonna be weird. Like it's really gonna be weird once he feels it. So just have no pressure and just have no agenda. Just go in thinking this is a pretty girl, and I'm just gonna talk to her. And if I can get a number, amazing. If I can't, all good, right? And the second thing is just to be present and actually listen. A problem that we make as humans is that we always want to talk, right? But the problem is if you don't listen, you are not gonna make good responses. Let's say the person's talking about their hair and you're thinking about in your head to talk about your new iPhone or some food. It just doesn't correlate. So just listen to what she says, and you can ask a follow-up question after that. It's like how you talk to your friend. Normally how you talk to your friend. If you're listening to your friend, it's just the conversation naturally flows because you're invested in the conversation and she's invested in it, right? So if you do that while cold approaching, it's going to be the same thing. And what most guys do is they have this script, or a line they want to say, and it just makes the conversation a bit scripted and doesn't make it feel natural because she says something and you have oh, I need to ask her about this, I need to ask her about this, I need to ask her about this. But if you just go in and just talk and kind of listen and kind of ask a full of questions. So for example, let's just say, right, when I talked to her, so she was from Russia and she was in Bali for a few months. And we just talked about what made her move to Bali. Then she said because she wanted to enjoy the sun, Then, we talked about yoga and other things, right? It was just a follow-up from what she actually said, and she asked me questions as well. And that's because the conversation was just natural, right? I wasn't thinking about, oh yeah, I gotta say this specific line or this specific script, so she'll talk in this way and I can ask her a question like that. You can do that when you first start, but it just doesn't flow, Personally, if you're just present and you're actually listening to the person of what they're actually saying, then naturally you will have a response. It's a natural thing. And just to be clear, this isn't the only way to cold approach, but this is how I normally do it, and this is how my mentor Vendori, if you're watching, thank you so much, my mentor who really taught me how to cold approach. This is how I normally do it and how I was taught. And it's much more simple than remembering lines that you see on YouTube or on Instagram or on TikTok. And the funny thing is, right, and the crazy thing is that you're already funny and charismatic with your friends. We just want to remove the fear of social conditioning that freezes you up around attractive women. Of course, this doesn't happen overnight, by the way, right? This just takes a lot of practice and it does take a lot of fails. but you know, the end result is to just be yourself. You know, that's the end result. So you know, it's gonna take a lot. You're gonna get like you're gonna get rejected a lot of times, right? Or like when you first start, like just get used to a rejection, but you should be very happy because you've done something that's scary. Like that should be your thinking. Oh my god, I did something scary today, so that's a win in itself, right? So please just think of it like that. And as you do it more and more, like most things in like almost anything in life, the more you do it, the more better you get and the more natural it becomes, you know? So get used to that rejection. You know, even me, I still get rejected. Like I still get rejected, and even if you're like have everything in abundance, you know, you have everything, like you're the best looking person in the world, got the most money, you know, you're gonna get rejected. Like you're gonna get rejected, right? Like not every, like I talked about, your goal should never to be like to be attractive to every girl. It's almost impossible, right? If you do that, you're gonna be, man, I don't know, bro. You're gonna be just thinking about like I don't know if you ever gonna get a date, bro, because if that's your goal. But if that's your goal and if you can achieve it, fantastic. But like I said, that shouldn't be the goal, you know? And cold approaching isn't just about getting dates. It's about really just proving yourself that you can handle discomfort, rejection, and uncertainty without collapsing. And I'll give you a quick story. When I first cold approached in London, actually I've been cold approaching for a while, but I stopped for a bit because you know at the time I had like a girl that I recently kind of like was seeing, and we kind of broke up because of just uncertainty and stuff. So really cool, by the way. And that's when I met my mentor Venny, my friend Venny. We actually go back from school, but he became a dating coach on the side. So really helped me with like cold approaching. And the first time I cold approached after like maybe at least a year, right? God damn, it felt so scary. It felt so hard, and I was shaking, but I just did. And somehow the girl like gave me her WhatsApp number, and oh my god, the feeling that I had was crazy. I started high-fiving my boy Benny. I had this rush of adrenaline everywhere, man. It felt crazy. And when you get your first success rate, guys, I'm telling you, when you first like properly cold approach and get your first like win, whether that's a number, Instagram, or like maybe even a date, like you can even get a date, like if the girl's really into you, right? On that day, if you get that win, oh my god, it's so good. So I hope you guys do it. Really hope you guys do it, and I want you guys to feel that feeling, because that feeling is amazing when you first get a completely random girl's like number. You know, it's one of the best feelings. You just feel like you've won the lottery. You know, like it really does, because you've done something really hard and you've succeeded in it. Now, moving on to the third chapter of social transformation is to become more interesting, and this matters. All right, so I'm going to show off a little bit because I feel like I've lived an interesting life, right? So I got my master's degree at 22 from one of the best universities in the UK. I have traveled to over 20 countries. You know, I've solo traveled 8 of them. I've had a finance career in London for 2 years, and I quit my finance job because, you know, me, I'm a boss. I've squatted 220 kilos and have like won some calisthenics tournaments. You know, I have tried stand-up comedy, failed miserably with that. One of the biggest life learning lessons. I've run marathons. I've done bodybuilding. I've done one bodybuilding competition in Malaysia. You know, I've tried tons of businesses. You know, I've failed a lot of businesses. You know, I've succeeded and I've failed. So I've done skydiving and landed on my own. You know, I've also grown my personal brand to over 50k followers in total. Now, of course, this sounds like I'm like sucking on myself and saying how good I am and all these things. But, you know, that just shows you like what I've done in my life, and, you know, it's extreme experiences that I've done and cool experiences that I've done as well, and things I've able to like achieve. And it's just the fact that I want to show you that, you know, it's not about flexing. It's just about the fact that, you know, stories create attraction. You know, when you guys talk to someone like new, like, you know, one of the basic conversations you're going to have when you're in your 20s, right? Or even your 30s is about like work, career, food, plans, and all these things. But, you know, after that, like, you know, you got to bring something to the table, right? Like, not bring something to the table, but, you know, you guys start talking about your life, you know. Most people can predict what you're gonna say, but if you start talking about, I freaking solo traveled to 8 countries, you know, that makes it much more interesting to talk about, and it's actually something you can talk about. And if the person like that's me, right? But let's just say I'm talking to the person and the person has done something crazy, like, he's gone to I don't know, he's freaking took a 24-hour train from Europe to Asia, something like that, right? I'm not gonna be interested of hearing that story. That I am very interested. Like, I'm like very, I want to hear that story, right? And because of that, us humans are like wired for stories, right? Because we wanna like we connect through like shared experiences. The reason you're watching this video is because I'm telling my experience of me when I was skinny to where I am now, right? You wouldn't connect if I just told you, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that, right? We connect through shared experiences, adventures, and unpredictable moments that makes life interesting. So what I want you to do, right, is just do things that have unpredictable outcomes. I don't mean like go to the middle of the street and start like dancing and or something like that, like freaking climbing like freaking towers and stuff and doing that thing. If that's your thing, then do your thing. What I mean by unpredictable outcomes is like doing something that's outside your comfort zone, like like maybe you don't like getting hit, like you've never been hit before. Maybe you should go do Muay Thai, and I'll tell you in your first or second you're gonna start sparring, right? Because that's part of the tradition. And you want to push yourself outside your comfort zone. Like us humans, we can be very comfortable just doing the same thing over and over again. But if you push yourself outside your comfort zone, you have a story to tell. Firstly, to yourself, like you can really be proud of yourself. And the second thing is to actually just like tell to other people that makes you more interesting, to people, and also do things you actually care about, like these things, right, I've done, I actually care about them, like actually, like skydiving, right, I actually wanted to skydive when I was a kid, like really as a kid, and I did it for my 22nd birthday, it's something that you actually care about. Like, don't go and do things that you don't care about at all, just to be more interesting. Do things that you actually care about and that you think will be interesting and fun. So just do it, right? So don't fake it. Don't do it just because you want to impress people. Just do things that excite you, scare you a little, and force you to grow. And know that these stories is that you can tell people and girls that will make you more interesting. Like you probably have like a grandma or like or cool uncle that tells you some random stories, and because of like their stories, every time you meet them, like you just want to like hear the story and really like learn from it. That's you kind of want to have that effect on people as well, right? I mean, and the thing is, right, not everyone's going to find you interesting, right? Some people are going to find you stupid or whatever, or some people are not going to find you interesting at all. They'll be like, oh, I've done cooler things or something like that, right? But like I said, you're not going to appeal to everyone, right? That never gonna appeal to everyone. So do things that you find interesting and things you can like tell a story about. And and also don't do this for attraction. Attraction is just a side effect of a well-lived life. It's not the goal, it's a side effect. So just do interesting things and be more interesting, and attraction will be a byproduct of that, I promise you. Now let's move on to section 5, which is relapse warning, which is very important. So in terms of tips and things you can do to be more attractive as an Asian guy, those are pretty much the tips, like the main tips I can give you. But what I want to be like honest with you, and I want to be very brutally honest with you, is that life isn't a straight line. It's not going to be a straight line where you just make progress and you just look better every single day or like do better every single day. There's going to be ups and downs in this journey. If you're trying to improve your looks, your body, your communications, always you're not always going to be confident. You're not always going to feel good about yourself. But that's the beauty of life, right? And I'm stealing this from one of my favorite rappers, which is Rick Ross. And he says, one of the quotes he says, or like when he's just like chilling and talking, he says, life is a beautiful struggle, brother. Keep trying your best. Success has no expiry date, right? It doesn't really have expiry date. So even if it takes you, like a year, 2 years to like, to build a good body or, build a better face or be more build a better communication skills, then so be it, right? So be it. Like success doesn't have an expiry date, and you can be attractive. Like you can build attraction whenever, right? You can be 30 right now, you can be 40, you can be 15, 16, whoever, right? So there's no age and there's no expiry date to this. And even for me, right, there was periods where I looked good physically, right? Like I showed you my abs there, but there was times my abs looked insane, my body looked crazy. I was strong, I was well dressed, I think. I guess that's other people's judgment. But mentally, like, I slipped. Like, there was times I didn't feel good, and that time my confidence dropped, and not just with girls, but in all parts of my life. You know that does happen, guys, right? Like, this isn't gonna like be this straight line like I talked about. It's gonna be ups and downs. But remember, this is normal, and you're not gonna be confident all the time. Nobody is, right? Even your favorite, like your celebrity. My favorite celebrity is Cristiano Ronaldo, because he made me fall in love with football. He made me fall in love with being better. He made me fall in love with just trying hard in life, and just really like being a person of identity. And if you watch Ronaldo play, like, yes, like most of the time he's confident and he's scoring goals, but there are times you can see this guy is not confident on the ball or scoring, like he misses a chance, and there are things, but he always comes back, and that's why I always respect him, because this guy has pressure from like billions of people every single day, or every time he plays a game. Millions of people are watching, billions of people follow him. He has all this pressure that's affecting him, and you can see it sometimes that he's not always himself all the time, but he always comes back, right? And that's what I like about him. So there are gonna be days where we have the confidence, we feel $1,000,000 and you feel like you can do anything and you can attract any girl. But there are days you don't want to get out of bed sometimes. You don't want to like do anything. You just want to sit down and lay down. But those days are gonna happen, right? But you gotta have that positive self-image, which will help you bounce back from negative things that you may end up doing, like binge eating, and eventually put you back in your path. So these physical things are amazing, but your mental thing is the most important. So if your identity and your self-image isn't solid, the glow up doesn't last. So that's why this process starts internally, not externally, and you're gonna have ups and downs in this journey, right? Because I don't want to sell you guys dreams that once you follow all these steps, life's gonna be this beautiful a beautiful thing where you wake up and there's a girl feeding you freaking grapes, and there's a girl that's cooking you, like you have all these girlfriends and all these things, and you're living this crazy life. Maybe you do, maybe you have it, but that will be for like a period of time. But there'll be periods of time where you just don't feel like you just don't feel like attractive, or you just don't feel you have that mojo or something. So those are going to happen, and I don't want to sell you guys any dreams with that. That's just a natural human process. So in terms of physical things, you can see results pretty much within a week. Like, let's just say you stop like you cut sodium, your face is going to look cleaner within a week, right? Like, it may not like change dramatically, but you see some changes, right? Even if you have bad sleep, it's going to fix your eyes, your energy, and everything. So physical things, you can pretty much see results within a week. But like I talked about before, and I've been hammering this point in this video, is the most important is your self-image and your mental beliefs. This takes time, at least 3 weeks, because it takes about 21 days to like build a habit or break a habit. And it's I'm just gonna say about 21 days before you really start believing that new person, attractive person that you're becoming. And whilst your mental is getting better, let's work on your physical, whilst that's like building a better body, dressing better, mewing, or whatever you want to improve, like whatever the most important thing that you want to improve right now, do that. So work on the physical, and whilst you're doing the physical and your mental catches up, you're gonna feel like a whole different person. You're gonna look like a different person. You're gonna feel like a different person, and you are going to be a different person, right? And here's just the realistic time frame, right? So the first 30 days is gonna feel awkward, because you're breaking new old patterns. It's uncomfortable, and you even question if it's actually working. Because you do new things. You're gonna have that uncertainty. So around 60 days, that's when people are gonna start to notice, and you're gonna notice within 60 days. That's for sure. Friends, family, strangers, they may see something different. They start commenting on it, and this is when external validation starts reinforcing the internal work. So as you've worked your internal work and you've kind of showed it in the outside world, and people are giving you compliments, you're seeing that, wow, that internal work that I've been doing is starting to pay off. And around 90 days, you start really believing yourself, because after 3 months, you've really built these habits, and your thought patterns have changed. You start really believing in who you are, and this new identity feels natural. You don't feel like you you have to be attractive because you know you're attractive. There's a difference, right? So you're not pretending, you're just being. That's actually a good way to put it. And most people quit right before the shift happens. Please don't be that guy. I've had a lot of clients, and a lot of the posture is very similar in terms of that. This diet was working, or this training program was working, but something got in the way, and they just quit, and everything kind of went back to the same thing. And what I really like enforce my clients to do is really enforce the mental more than the physical, because building muscle and losing fat, it's a very simple process, but it's the mental that affects a lot of people. And I don't want you to be the person that quits right before the results happen, right? And the way I'm going to put it is, the first month is pure discipline, the second month is momentum, and the third month is identity. And here are the daily non-negotiables. If I had to boil everything down to 5 daily negotiables, here they are. Number 1 is to train your body at least 3 to 4 times a week. No exceptions, right? 3 to 4 times a week is not a lot of time, guys, right? Like, that's about 3 to 4 hours of your time. It doesn't take that long. We have 168 hours in a week. I'm sure you can train at least 3 hours a week, and if you don't have time to go to the gym, just do some calisthenics, learn some calisthenics, or do some push-ups at home, but do train at least 3 to 4 times a week. Number 2 is eat intentionally. Have a diet that has high protein, low processed food, because they're not really good for you, and it's not going. You're not going to build a good body, and you're not going to feel good. And feeling good is very important. Like, you got to feel like you can take over the world. And like I said, 80% is 80% strict good food, good healthy diet, and 20% just cheat on your diet, and just have some fun. The way I like to split it is, I have 3 cheat meals per week, so I have about about 15 to 20 meals a week, and 3 of them are cheat meals. And I normally do it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And when I mean cheat meals, not cheat days, right? If you have 3 cheat days, like, all the progress you made on the last 4 days, done. So 3 cheat meals, right? There's a difference between cheat meals and cheat days. Number 3 is to sleep properly, 7 to 8 hours a day, to build muscle, to recover from the day, and just feel better about yourself. And just make sure you don't have any screens for 1 to 2 hours before bed. Like, this is hard, and this is something I struggle with, like, in terms of screens, because now running your own business, sometimes you have to be awake at different times at times. So I have this problem. So that 1 to 2 no screens 1 to 2 hours, if you can, like, really is gonna help. I feel much better every time I don't have any screens in my bed. Like, when I put my phone in my sofa here, and I go sleep over there, like, I feel much better when I wake up, and I should be doing it more and more. And number 4 is to speak to yourself with respect. Your internal dialogue shapes your reality. Your thoughts are what creates your reality, in a sense, because you ever think of, like, something bad's gonna happen, and something bad does happen, it's because you've thought yourself into it. So I want you to remember, your self-image would dictate your subconscious mind and your unconscious actions. So if your self-image is like always telling you, you're not this, you're not that, this girl doesn't like me, this girl thinks I'm too short, then guess what, right? Like, if you really think about it, and you really focus on that thought, that's what's gonna happen, right? And this is very important, guys. Like, it's easier said than done, right? Because we are humans. We grew, like, we are pessimistic, like, naturally we're very pessimistic, and a lot of the news that we hear is very pessimistic. It's trying to just, like, shape that and really, like, change that. So speak to yourself with respect. And number 5 is put yourself in social environments. One of the problems that a lot of my clients have, right, is when they lose muscle and they build their body that they want, like, I feel like I'm not social enough. And the simple thing I told them is, just put yourself in social environments. Like, try go to a meetup, try go to a hobby, like, if you like random hobby that you have, or like something that you want to learn, like, like, for example, right, like, I like to play chess a little bit, and I went to this chess gathering in Nepal, and it was really fun. Like, I learned a lot from there, and somehow, like, one of them I still keep in contact with, right? So just put yourself in social environments. Like, just make a plan that this week you're gonna go do this or do that, And because by being social, it's going to help you just like feel good about yourself and learn communication. So do this at least 2 to 3 times a week. You know, you don't want to, there is a time and place where you gotta just lock in and just, you know, put yourself and ignore everything else, like put yourself in this box and ignore everything else. But ultimately we are like social creatures, like we are humans, and you know everything is built through social relationships. So try to put yourself in social environments as much as possible. So the rule is miss a day but don't miss twice. One slip is a mistake, two slip is a pattern, and the pattern becomes your identity. Final reframe. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about removing the version of yourself that was built by fear, stereotypes, and low expectations. You're not creating a new version. You're uncovering the person you're always capable of being. Fix the inputs. The outputs are going to take care of themselves. Attraction isn't something that you chase. It's not something that you beg for. It happens when your life is aligned. When your body, mind, and actions are all pointing through the same direction. And when that happens, people feel it before you even say a word. You know, your energy is what people feel. Like you ever like meet someone and you can feel like the energy, if that energy feels good or feels confident or feels shy. You know, people are going to feel that energy, and feel good, feel attractive, feel charismatic. Trust me, people are going to feel it, and they're going to kind of, you know, be attracted to you, you know, in all ways, right? Not just like sexually or something like that. Just like even guys want to talk to you, guys want to like get to know you, right? And which is also a good thing, because you know, if you have a really good friend who's a guy, like, you know, it changes the world, man. Because you know, let's say you go through a like a small period or like a down period, you know, like having a really good guy friend really helps. You know, like I have like 2 guy friends who I'm really close with, and I've been close with them since almost over 10, 13 years. And you know, like, you know, and I feel like I was able to attract them through my energy. Even though we met in school, like kind of randomly, and you know, they've changed my life in so many ways. So what I want you to just take from this video is the fact that being attractive doesn't mean just being attractive to girls, but being also attractive to like other guys that can potentially help you, be your friends, you know, just, you know, someone that can just be there for you, you know. So that is very important as well, you know. Like, you know, having a friend is having like a one good friend is better than having like, you know, like having 10 friends that, you know, they're only there when time is good, and they're not there when time is bad, right? But that one friend that sticks to you, you know, that's the friend you want. All right, let's just move on before I get carried away. So last thing, just the closing, and here's your action items for the next 72 hours. So pick a date to start, right? Within the next 3 days, like just do it now. You've watched this video, you might as well start as soon as possible. So within the next 3 days, mark it in your calendar. This is when you start being your full transformation. Identity, body, social, all of that. Remember, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but you can't do that now. So the best time to plant a tree is now. So start improving, and it doesn't have to be like major straight away. You know, it can just be, you know, you start going to the gym more, like you start going to the gym 3 times a week, or you start, you know, not eating junk food, or you start like buying clothes that fit you really well. So it doesn't have to be dramatic, but these small things are going to add up, right? But you want to start as soon as possible, you know, as soon as possible. And the second thing is to audit your current self. Write down where you are across all these areas: body composition, self-image, social life, and daily habits. You can't improve what you don't measure. So just like be honest with yourself, and you know, if there are things that you really need to improve, then you know you have things, you have the answer where to improve, and you can start improving now. But if you don't know like where you are, like you don't know what to improve, then you're going to be lost. So just, you know, give yourself like 10-20 minutes and just write across like where you are and where you want to be. And once you do that, you can start improving. Now once you do that, set your 3 non-negotiables. You know, in this video I've given you a lot of tips on how I glowed up and how to glow up as an Asian guy, right? And it can be a bit overwhelming trying to change everything, but just start with 1 to 3 actions that you do no matter what, until it becomes a habit. Then you can start doing more things. For me, when I first started, it was train, because I love training. And second was to eat clean, because my diet was terrible. Even though I trained a lot, I was eating so much junk food and I was just gaining fat. And the third thing was to put myself in social situations every 3 days. So if you don't know who I am, like personally, I'm a only child, so social skills was something that I actually had to learn the hard way, because I didn't grow up with like a brother or sister that I could just talk to every single day, and my parents were working like every single day because they're Asian and they're grinding. They don't do that anymore, but they used to pretty much work every single day. So the way I became more social was, I went to football meetings. I went to sorry, not football meetings. I went to like football trainings. I went to like volleyball training. I went to just like games, like playing like board games and stuff, and just put myself in these situations. I kind of started like talking to people, getting to know people. How to make people open up, how to make them feel good about themselves, and actually just listen and not just talk about myself all the time. So please just do that, especially if you're like 16 to 21. Please do that, because like this is something that's like missing in this generation because of phones and a lot of digital things. But please just put yourself in social situations. It's a good way to like get to know people, and we are human, and we are social creatures. So just put yourself in social situations to learn how to talk to people and how to listen to people. All right, so that's the end of this video. As you can see, the video was raw, no heavy editing, just straight talk. It took me about 3 days to make this doc, and I'm going to share it to you guys in the description, so you can just like go and read it, and you don't have to like watch this video every time if you don't understand anything. Just read it. And also let me know in the comments like what you think of this format, as I want to do this format more and more, because I really just want to talk to you guys and give you guys like just raw advice and raw things. And of course, I know you guys enjoy my edited content as well. I'll post that, but I want to do more content like this, right? So if you found this valuable, please hit a like button and subscribe for more content like this. And if you want to work with me directly to build 10 pounds of muscle or 5 kilos of muscle within the next 90 days, training just 3 to 4 times a week, like some of my clients here. So all these clients, they only train 3 to 4 times a week. Then click the first link in the description below. There you'll be able to book a free 30-minute consultation call with me to see if you're a good fit. And if you want to talk about like glowing up and stuff from this video, just feel free to like book a call. I'm only gonna offer it for like this week and next week, because obviously the call is more for like people that want to like gain muscle and kind of just want to work with me. But because I've just released this video for the next 2 weeks, from this video, which should be posted on the 17th of February. Let's just say end of the February. You can just call me for any glow up tips or anything that you want. And normally it is 30 minutes, but the call easily goes to 45 minutes to an hour. Depending on like how much help they need. And there's no pressure. It's just a conversation we're gonna have and see if I can help you. And if I can't, it's okay. And if you don't want to work with me, it's okay. But we can just talk, and I can just help you in the consultation call. But with that being said, let me not like talk too much about my business. With that being said, thank you for being here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And I hope you really enjoyed it. And and I really hope if this is the only video that you watch from me, I really hope you glow up and shift the beliefs of not being attractive and become attractive yourself. I'll see you guys in the next video. See you.